Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back. Well, it is about 10 hours later after last night's video. I've pretty much been running on basically wide open because, well, the long and the short of it is they're saying rain. They're saying a lot of rain. The last projected forecast they had for us is 7.5 inches of rain between now and the end of the month. Well, it's not just us, it's a pretty good chunk of the Midwest. Whether or not it actually happens is left up to debate, but a rainy rest of May is really going to mess with getting the last of our crops in. So for those of you that don't know or aren't up to date and everything around here, oats, new seeding is done. Soybeans are done. This is the last of the soybean ground I'm working up or smoothing off, just because I like having my bean ground smoothed up. I did everybody's bean ground. And Dad is currently working on corn. Ryan is currently keeping groundwork ahead of him. And I'm trying to just do the odds and the ends. Well, let's just face it, I'm trying to get this done before it gets rained on, because if this gets rained on, I'm not going to be able to work it up. The harrow is just about done for the year. I have some waterways and a road or two that I want to get redone, so I got to work those down. Typically we would do those before we even start planting, because there's no because to it. We just didn't have the weather that would have allowed us to do it properly. Basically it dried up, and it was hook up to the tillage tool, planter, drill, whatever we got to do, and let's go do it. And my chair is especially more squeaky tonight. So I gotta the problem is I'm the call guy right now. I'm the one that if anybody has any problems, I'm the one that's gonna get called. And I've been really lucky. I haven't heard anything out of Dad, and that was 2 hours ago. Only problem is now, which is why I gotta get this done, is I gotta get back out there so I can help get Dad moved again. We've only been planting corn for, well, at this point we haven't even been planting corn for 24 hours. I got going at about 6:30 last night. Make that 7 because I had some issues with the fertilizer tubes. I cut one of the fertilizer lines going down to the seed firmers. Luckily enough, I was able to just patch that with what I had there. And then I like being extra sure that everything is working properly. So I went through and ran the planter about 50 feet, got out, dug everything up, made sure seed was coming down the tubes, made sure it was putting it down at the right depth, because I do have this handy dandy little seed depth tool that I got from our past agronomist. I really should do a seed depth video again. I haven't done one yet this year, or checking seed depth. Corn we run at about 2 inches. Soybeans we run at 1.5 inches. Honestly, I'm wondering if we should be dropping beans down another 1/4 inch. I'm not seeing that they're getting covered up as nicely as I'd like to see them. they're in the ground now, so it's a little too late to worry about it now. This is the first year that we've ever done soybeans, that we started with soybeans before corn, and we are done with soybeans before corn. Not really crazy how much I'm not really sure how much I really like that. It was mainly just kind of rushed to do it, because with the ground conditions we had, they were good enough where it was basically up to you. Do you want to plant or do you not? And I sure definitely wanted to start planting something, because that was right before we had the last week of rain. So Ryan and I made the last minute decision, the best decision we had available to us at that point in time. So Ryan went ahead and he started working ground down for me. I got going, putting soybeans in about 10 o'clock that night. The ground conditions were not ideal, and it may come back to kick me in the ass yet. I haven't gone and dug any soybeans up from the first stuff we planted. If we get a bunch of rain here, I'm gonna have plenty of time to go around and see what some of this ground is doing. So the corn that's going in the ground, we're well over 100 acres in already. I got the main farm done, then I got this field done, and then Dad is working on the third field at the moment, and I am really hoping that any time here he's going to call me up and say he needs help moving the planter, because then it's down to my place. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that we have a snowball's chance in hell of getting done planting corn. It isn't going to happen with the amount of acres we have to put in. But I tell you what, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit of that stress coming off, and everybody can sit and tell me all they want that I shouldn't be stressing and we'll get it in, blah blah blah. Oh, you guys don't necessarily understand this. Everybody else doesn't understand everybody else's situations. For where I'm at, the corn that went in on this field, not this particular strip, but the corn that I put in this morning on this field is 113 day, and today is May 15th, if I'm getting you guys mixed up on the dates at all yet. Today is May 15th, and I was told that if I don't get it in by May 15th, it gets into a little bit of a gray area up to the 20th, and then depending on what the weather outlook depending on what the weather outlook is, to really consider changing it out. But you're still within the realm of reason on that longer day stuff, all the way out until the last day of May. So I could be planting this 113 day stuff all the way out until May 31st. Now the reason I don't want to do that, and why maturity dates and growing degree days that you get throughout the summer are so important, is it's hard to talk about weather. It really is, because we have had over the years, basically since humans have been on this earth, extreme weather events, from the most recent being 2012. 2009 was a nasty one, but you don't know what the weather's going to do throughout the year. Now, if it really does, we start getting some sunlight, which today is beautiful, by the way. Some sunlight, some heat, this corn gets in the ground, takes off running, pops up out of the ground, and it's off to the races. Great. But what happens if we get a continued cool spell, rainy, dreary, miserable, kind of like it's been the last week and a half, and that corn sits and struggles for however many weeks, and it's struggling to get the growing degree days to really take off. The longer maturity day corn, it's going to take more heat units to get to a black layer. And the problem is that in southwest Wisconsin, You get to middle of September, September 15th is the number I'm going to go with. Any day after September 15th, and we could be looking at frost. And the last thing you want is a bunch of young corn that isn't quite mature yet, that hasn't quite reached black layer, get frosted out, killed off, and then you're stuck with a bunch of wet corn that you're going to have to pay an awful pile of money to get dried down. Because if it was cold enough to freeze it off, the chances, I'm not saying it doesn't get warm enough where you can just run natural heat if it's 80 degrees out, but I mean, come on, what are the chances, right? So I don't know, there are literally so many different variables that go into the day in and out around a farm, from cattle to crops to livestock crops and whatever else you're raising. Some cases probably more extreme than others. I myself do not want to be sitting on my hands for 2 weeks with over half of our corn still out, or half of our corn still in the bags waiting to be planted. It might be kind of good for the market. We might see some fireworks that way. To be honest with you, we've actually seen some pretty good fireworks as far as the market goes. I actually trying to talk about markets and projected targets and basis and HTAs. I don't know how well I can really sit and explain it in a video where it actually makes any sense whatsoever to everybody. All I can tell you is the corn market had got a bunch of life to it here the last 2 days. It was up 8 days the first day, or 8 cents the first day, and then what was it? It spiked up today like 10. I think it lost a lot of those gains, but I have targets in where I would be willing to sell forward contract corn once it hits a certain price. I made about 20 different contracts over a set period of time for various amounts of grain. It wasn't just for 1,000 bushels or 5,000 bushels. It was, I sat up until 1:30 that morning when I saw that the market had jumped, because I was in the field. Granted, I got my cell phone here with me, but honestly, I've been feeling a lot better, not really worrying too much about what my cell phone's doing. I get enough people calling me as it is, asking what's going on. But I got home that night because Ryan's like, "Hey, have you been watching the markets?" He's like, "They're up." I mean, they are. Well, I got my attention, and I saw how much they're spiking, and with the crop progress reports stating that at the time we are 30% behind the 5-year average as far as getting the corn. Was it corn? It might have been corn and beans or just corn. At this point, it's irrelevant. But the market actually finally noticed. So I ended up going through and I sat up for a couple hours reassessing where the market is currently at, how far it could realistically go up, where I would be happy myself to move some grain. I put in, I want to say, about 20 different targets. And by, I figured out the targets I wanted. I called up, I put them in at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock. The next morning, by 11 o'clock that morning, the market had a little bit more fuel to it, and 8 of those 20 contracts actually hit. So I'm actually not feeling too bad. That's actually been kind of a little bit of a morale booster, because I got to tell you, after so many days of the market going down, 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 and just bleeding out, it gets to the point where you don't want to check the market anymore because you know dang well exactly what it did that day. Which, again, it kind of burned me because I didn't realize the corn was up as much as it was that day. Soybeans were up 30 cents that day. 30 cents sounds like a big move. That's really not that much for soybeans, considering if you want to hear me get excited about soybeans right now, they got to go up about another $1.50, $2. My best grain sale for soybeans last year was $10.60. Well, any of my farmer viewers out there knows that we are a far cry away from 1060. But that is also why we are shifting away from soybeans. We're a couple farms that have just proven to us that they suck at raising soybeans. I am not the only guy out there. We are not the only farm out there that has figured this out. I see it on New Ag Talk all the time, which that site is extremely negative, but it does have its few upsides too. I do know I have some people that are watching the channel that are on New Ag Talk. I kind of, fish in and out depending on what the market's doing, and just try to get a feel for what everybody else is thinking. But I don't know, that site can be really toxic too. But to be honest, soaking the videos. But oh, I gotta say again, because I do have a very awesome fan base, and I gotta get this video over with, but I do have a very awesome fan base. Thank you everybody that watches my videos on a daily basis. Never thought in a million years that anybody gave a hoot and a half about what I'm doing on a daily basis. So to those of you that keep coming back day in and day out, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. As far as anybody that does say anything negative, anybody that's too stupid, I just go ahead and block. Life's too short to put up with idiots. If people are willing to go so far to write out a big, long BS statement just because they don't like me, well, it's kind of hard to take offense from somebody that I have no idea who you are. You're just people that are online. The people that actually care about my channel and support my channel definitely make themselves a lot better known, and they get much more respect from me. So to those of you that are in the 99% of the viewers that are positive, thanks for keeping the channel as fun as it is. So I need to grab a gear and disappear, because I know Dad's gonna be calling me and I don't want to be halfway done here. So again, thank you. You guys are watching the rest of the story. More videos to come, because there's a lot going to be going on here probably within the next 24 hours yet. The rain is supposed to start tomorrow night sometime, and if you can't hear it in my voice, I'm kind of got a hectic vibe going on right now. So until next time, take care, take it easy, keep in touch.